What's going on? We're starting the cyber defense pathway in TryHackMe. The cyber defense pathway has been created recently by TryHackMe, and it is tailored towards honing the necessary skills needed to become an incident responder, threat hunter, or a blue teamer. So once you finish this pathway, you will have the necessary skills, the basic components, and the foundations to start as, let's say, junior threat hunter, junior incident responder, or as a blue teamer. So as you can see, the pathway consists of several components. The first one is the cyber defense introduction, where you will start with the basics. So here, the networking tutorials, you will learn about the RISE protocols, the OZ models, TCP/IP, Wireshark, which we will talk about in this room or in this video, intro to Windows, and Active Directory basics. So you will have the basics actually. Now, threat and vulnerability management. Here you will be getting introduced to different frameworks, tools that are used to analyze vulnerabilities. One of them is NESIS, as you can see here, and of course frameworks and standards such as MITRE and the YARA, of course, for malware analysis. And of course here you will get basics, how to exploit the zero logon vulnerability used, or the zero logon is prominent. It has been released recently against Windows systems or Active Directory. OpenVAST is a tool for analyzing vulnerabilities and discovering them, an MISP. Then you will have the threat emulation. So here are a couple of rooms where you will attack Active Directory. We have done the attacking Kerberos. Now we will do atomic red team and technically Active Directory attacks, incident response, and forensics. Here we will be introduced to analyzing Windows machines to find out forensic artifacts and build an event or a chain of events of how the compromise happened on the machine using forensic techniques, technically incident response. Malware analysis. Here you will get the basics of analyzing malwares. Of course, you will not graduate as an expert. You will have the basics to start your malware analysis journey. As you can see, some of the rooms I have already done. You can get back to them anytime. Okay, so I already started, and if you have watched my previous videos, which intersect with this pathway, then you have already completed 50% of the pathway. If you have watched networking, or if you have done these rooms before, you don't necessarily need to watch my videos. But if you have done these rooms before, then you have already completed 50% of the pathway. Now, let's go to Wireshark and complete the Wireshark room or Wireshark basics. So in this room, you will be introduced to different components of Wireshark, how to use the filters, how to analyze packets, and at the end you will be given a PCAP file of zero logon vulnerability. So basically, I'm going to leave you with task 1 all the way to task 6 to read through them, understand the concepts, get the fundamentals, and then I will, as you can see, we will start. I will right away start with task 7. Task 7, analyzing ARP traffic, 8, ICMP traffic, DNS, HTTP, and HTTPS. So of course you can read through these tasks. I will jump right directly to the questions here. So in this task, you are given a PCAP file. The PCAP file contains a network capture of, or consisting of ARP requests and replies. So I'm going to answer the request, and while answering, I'm going to explain as much as I can to save you time of reading these information here. So jumping to my Kali machine and launching Wireshark, specifying the ARP file. The ARP file was np6. So this is the network capture. As you can see, most of the requests are ARP. You can find the protocol, as you can see, by following the column here, and You are, of course, familiar with the source, destination, host, whatsoever. Okay, so let's start with the first question. What is the opcode for packet 6? Don't worry about the terms. I'm going to explain them while I do the challenge. So what's the opcode for packet 6? Let's jump back to Wireshark and go to packet 6. And let's drag this upward. Click on the arrow and view the details of the request. As you can see, in the request, we have opcode request. Opcode stands for operation request or operation code. Operation code saying request, which means that this is an ARP request packet. Someone is requesting an IP address, someone is communicating, not someone actually, this is the Huawei switch, which is requesting MAC address. As you can see, this is the target IP. Okay, so we're interested in this. This is the opcode and this is request. So the answer is request. What is the source MAC address of packet 19? Let's go to packet 19. So let's get to the details of the ARP request. As you can see, opcode is request, and the question is, what is the source MAC address? So as you can see, we can see the details about the request. Sender MAC address, sender IP, which means the source, the target IP, and the MAC. The sender IP, the sender MAC is this, which is also the source. Now, to get this there, you have to right-click and copy. Select value, and you will copy it here. What four packets are reply packets? So here we will have to start using the filters. Here we are required to find only the reply packets, only the ARP reply packets. So how to find them? First, let's filter the ARP packets by specifying ARP protocol, ARP. And here we have a view of only the ARP packets. So as you can see, most of the packets we start originating from the Huawei switch, right? And here we have one packet coming from this host to the broadcast, asking about a MAC address. The Huawei switch here replies, as you can see, to this host with the MAC address of it has asked for. So by just, as you can see here, 76 is a reply packet. How do we know that? We saw a request from a host, and this is the reply to the same host as this marked as destination. So 76 is the first packet which is considered as reply, 76. The next one, let's see here. So, okay, here also the same host is requesting a MAC address. So this is ARP request marked by opcode request 1. Now, as you can see, Huawei switch replies to the host here marked by the destination with an ARP reply, which marks the second ARP reply. Go down, all of these are ARP requests until we reach the same host again requesting another MAC address. And the Huawei switch replies to the host by an ARP reply, so 459. Again here the same host is doing ARP request and Huawei is replying to the host with ARP reply for 520. Okay, what IP address is at? So we're required to find the IP address of this MAC address. Something happened to the page. Dashboards. Wireshark. Okay, get back to ARP. So all you have to do is to copy the MAC. Okay, and here to find the IP address of this MAC, we have to filter for the packets containing this MAC address. How do we do that? We use the filters. So the filters are used in Wireshark such as follows. For example, we type the protocol or the IP address. In this case, we are interested in the IP address, but we were not given an IP address. The filters start with the given. We're given a MAC address or Ethernet address. So we start with Ethernet dot address equal, I think without the R. Okay. So this stands for, or this finds the MAC address, or the packets containing the MAC address, this one. So enter. Let's see here. So all of these packets contain the MAC address. Let's see here. So as you can see, if you click on the first one, we go down. So as you can see, this MAC address belongs to the Huawei switch, right? Now, you may be tempted to just take this answer and answer with it, but this is not the correct answer. Why? If we click on the second packet, we see a different IP address. Although it's saying sender IP address, but neither of these work. Look at this one. So it is switching between 144 and 196. So we have to, in order to find the correct IP address of this switch, we have to find out a direct ARP request and reply made by a host to the switch. Let's see here. So we will look the destination as the Huawei switch. Read the packet that has the destination labeled as Huawei switch. Why? Because we need the Huawei switch to be asked about an IP address and then it replies back. Okay, this is a packet that contains the Huawei switch as a destination IP address, right? So we have a host here asking the Huawei switch, what is the MAC address of something, right? And here the Huawei switch replies back. If you click on the reply packet, we should get the correct IP address, 10.251.23.1, which is right here. All right, this is the ARP traffic. Now we get to the ICMP traffic. So we close this file and we open the ICMP1. Okay. Right. So what's the type of packet 4? So packet 4, what's the type, right? So as you can see, it is Internet Control Message Protocol. We expand the details related to that protocol, and we see the details of that protocol. We see type. So type 8, echo ping request, right? So basically, ICMP packets are, or they have two types. The first one is 8, which is for request packets, and the second one is 0, which is for reply packets. That's how we make a difference between the packets, not only by the request or reply as a string, but the type as well. So it is type 8. What is the type for packet 5? So we go to packet 5. Type is 0, which stands for reply packets. What's the timestamp for packet 12? Only including month, day, and year. So note Wireshark bases its time off of your device's time zone. If your answer is wrong, try one day more or less. Okay, how to find the timestamp? So we go to packet 12 and expanding the details of the protocol, we see timestamp field. You have to do just copy the value, okay? And it will be May 13, 2000, May 30, 2013. What is the full data string for packet 18? So the full data string can be found from the same details related to that protocol, which is here, as you can see, data. You can see here the data string. Right-click, copy as value to take the complete string. That's for ICMP, very easy. All you have to remember or memorize is the type. 0 for reply, 8 for request. So going now to DNS traffic. Let's open the file. Oh, it's the same file. Okay. So the questions. What's being queried in packet 1? So DNS traffic or DNS packets, as you can see, has in the protocol column DNS. So we can just filter for DNS. Okay. So What's being queried in packet 1? So this is packet number 1. Expand the details of the DNS packet, and we'll see all the details. What's being queried, right? We see here a label called queries. We expand the details of that, and we see the address that's being queried. Right-click, copy as value. In this case, it's Google IP address, right? So the crunch local source here, or the device, is asking Google to resolve web requests. So it's DNS. In its DNS configuration, Google is used as a DNS address or DNS server. What site is being queried in packet 26? Packet 26. So here, as you can see, okay, so the site being queried in this case is Wireshark. So the DNS request in this case is going to Wireshark, right? In this case, it's acting as a DNS server. What's the destination, the transaction ID for packet 26? Of course, you can find the transaction ID by expanding the details of DNS protocol, and you see the transaction ID is here. Right-click, copy as value. Okay, finished for DNS, ICMP, and ARP. So, HTTP traffic. Now download the file and write the questions. So HTTP is a bit laborious, so let's open the file. Most of the analysis is done on HTTP traffic. We don't deny the importance of ICMP and DNS, but most of the time, the indication of compromise and other artifacts can be found in HTTP traffic. So let's focus here and find the answers. So what percent of packets originate from domain name system? Yeah, so the question is asking about DNS. So why it is asking to find the answer in the HTTP traffic? Because HTTP traffic, when you load a capture containing HTTP traffic, you can view the hierarchy of the protocols. So we go to view statistics and click on protocol hierarchy. You will see here like a hierarchy of all the protocols used or witnessed in this capture, starting from top to bottom, as you can see here. So it's descending view, and you will see the most used protocols sorted from the most to the least. So as you can see here, the domain name system occupies 4.7 of the traffic. So the answer is 4.7. What endpoint ends is 237? Now, here is asking what is the IP address that ends with 237. In this case, it is marked as endpoint. So it is a client which is requesting traffic, requesting queries, whatsoever, you name it. So here we have to find out this IP address. So you may be tempted to just take it from here. As you can see, it ends with 237, but we have to get the answer in a meaningful and systematic way. So to find the endpoints in any capture, go to statistics and select endpoints. So selecting endpoints, going to IPv4, and we see here the addresses or the endpoints. So as you can see, we have 237, and this is the IP address. What is the user agent listed in packet 4? So go to packet 4, expanding the details of the hypertext transfer protocol, and you'll see the user agents. This is the user agent of the or the browser of the machine that has initiated the request. Right-click, copy value. Looking at the data stream, what is the full request URL in packet 18? So in HTTP traffic or captures, we see one of the important fields to look at is the request URL. We want to see what is the URL that is requested by the hostname or the endpoint or the machine or whatever, or the thing we're analyzing. So this is the URL. In this case, it is googlesyndication.com, which is the Google Ads, but this is not the correct URL. The correct URL is here, ethereal.com. But this ethereal, they have Google Ads on their page, You see here page add Google syndication, but this is not the requested URL. The requested URL is here, www.ethereal.com. But to answer the question, you have to right click and copy the complete value. What domain name was requested from packet 38? So now let's go to packet 38. Packet 38, we expand the details of HTTP and we see the request URL. This is the URL that was requested by the host. The domain name is www.ethereal.com. Looking at the data stream, what is the full request URL in packet 38? Now, the difference here is between the URL and the domain name. The domain name is or starts with www and ends.com. The URL is or starts with HTTP and ends with HTML, the complete file that is being requested on the server hosted on this domain name. So you have to right-click, copy value, and you will answer it. HTTPS, the notorious protocol. So let's close this one and load HTTPS traffic. Snake oil, yeah. Doesn't exist. Wireshark. Okay. So this is a decrypted HTTPS capture, but I'm going to show you how the file looked like before I have it decrypted. So the file looked like this. This is the view you get when you first open the HTTPS traffic capture. As you can see, all of the requests are SSL, are encrypted. Now I'm going to show you how to decrypt that using the author guidelines. So if you go down right to the questions, we see here the questions. So looking at the data stream, what is the full request URL? It's asking about details related to the packets, but in HTTPS, the packets are encrypted. How can you find them? How can you decrypt them? So the decryption process, you have to have the private key used to encrypt the communications. So whenever you make a HTTPS request, as you can see, this is an example. Let me show you the details here. So transport line security. So whenever you make a HTTPS request to a website, what happens in the background is a communication between you and the server as an exchange to start the exchange of traffic. Now the exchange of traffic over HTTPS must be accomplished with the client certificate, public and private key. All of these are exchanged before starting the real HTTPS traffic, which is encrypted. So technically, there's a public key and there's a private key. Now, the private key used to decrypt the communication between you and the server. The public key is used to, of course, along with the private key to encrypt them. So in order to decrypt the traffic and have this view, we have to find the private key. Now, the private key most of the time is given to you by the analyst who done the capture, or in case you have it before, or you have just exfiltrate the private key by some means if you're doing pen testing. Whatever the case is, in order to decrypt the HTTPS traffic, you need the private key. Now, I did a video before on how to find user credentials by using BetterCat and sniffing the HTTP traffic. I received many questions on how to apply this over HTTPS. Now, basically, in HTTPS, the case is different. There is a public and private key, as you see here, or you have to install the client certificates. So there are certificates here, exchange between you and the server. You have to install this certificate on your browser to be able to decrypt the traffic, or you have to use a private key and decrypt your capture. So if you have the private key, just go to Edit, Preferences. Now in Preferences, go to Protocols and scroll down to TLS. In TLS, you have transport line security, RSA keys list. So if you know beforehand that it was done with RSA, you have to just edit. Here you put the IP address that initiated the request, the port as start TLS, protocol TCP, and here you specify the private key. Now, in the case of TryHackMe, the private key is given to you when you download the task files. You have to just import it and click on OK, and you will have this view. Now, notice if I go to Preferences and remove the private key, what's going to happen? It will go back to its encrypted mode. So, selecting TLS. All right. I'm gonna remove this. Still decrypted. Okay, maybe this is safe view. Let me close this one. So let's unzip this file one more time. Sudo unzip snake oil. Replace. Yes. Yes. Let's see now. Oh. Okay. Wireshark. Still decrypted. Nonetheless, you can view the encrypted version by just downloading the task files, deleting the old files, and opening the new ones. So let's now answer the questions. After you have decrypted the stream, looking at the details here, 31 requested to find the packet, the URL. So 31, number 31, expanding the details, and this is the request URL. I've covered this before, so I'm gonna go over this quickly. Looking at the data stream, what is the full request URL for packet 50? The same way you go to packet 50 and you copy this one. Now, with user agent, also we covered this, and you can copy that from here. Now, lastly, which is the last task in this room, is analyzing exploit PCAPs. So there is no questions where the answer is required here. If you want to practice, you can just download the file and analyze how the zero log on attack happened, or how can you build a hypothesis that the attack that was happened on your network was actually zero logon exploitation. So you download the task file, much like similar to the previous videos I have uploaded about the Hassentor malware and URSTIF malware, where we analyzed the PCAP file and we concluded from the indication of compromise that this is actually URSNIF or Hassentor by just looking at the indicators of compromise. So download. Let's see here. So assumingly you have a PCAP file where an attack has happened. You have to build a hypothesis. What is the kind of attack? What is the vulnerability? What is the exploit? What are the indicators of compromise? So you can build a story of what has happened by just finding the indicators of compromise. All you have to do is to spot the anomalies. So as you can see, we have OpenVPN traffic, and we have DCERPC, right? You have EPM, RPC net logon. We have something weird happening. So let's go down. We have SMP v2, as you can see. So assumingly we have an attack here, so we have to find out what is it. So let's see here. So as you can see, we have this IP address, initiating requests with SSDP. Let's go down, see more. Oh, we see a repeated pattern. The repeated pattern is the IP address is 128.68.128. As you can see, is initiating request with this protocol. And also EPM TCP. Let's filter for this IP address. IP.adr equal 192.168. We see all the requests coming through to and from this IP address. So we see DCERPC. Okay, let's now get the help of Google and see what is that. What is this protocol? Is it an indicator of compromise, of some malware we don't know, or of some attack that we don't know of? DCERPC. What is that? So DCERPC is a specification for a remote procedure call mechanism that defines both APIs and over-the-network protocol. We'll listen for incoming calls. A client will call this endpoint mapper and ask for a specific interface. So we have RPC requests here going on. Okay, EPM. Let's see what is EPM. Endpoint mapper. This is the endpoint mapper for the DCERPC. So it's connected with this protocol. And an integral part of it. A client will call the endpoint mapper at the server to ask for well-known service. So they are tied together. So we can just conclude that this IP address is doing remote procedure calls, or maybe RPC enumeration. So we can just now take the first hint that an Active Directory attack was happening. An Active Directory attack, RPC is used to enumerate more information about the server or the domain controller. TCP traffic, again, DCERPC, RPC net log on. Let's expand the details of this packet here. So this is the first packet where the 28 is initiating RPC logon to .6. Microsoft Network log on. Computer name DC01. Computer name DC01. Maximum count. So what is the source? Okay. Let's see information about the distributed computing environment. Version 5, packet this request. Okay, let's see the reply now. So it seems like the 28 IP address is trying to log into 1.6, right, which is the DC01 computer, by the way. And now let's see the response by the DC01. Let's have a challenge, success. So after the RPC enumeration, as you can see here, assumingly the attacker has been able to log in successfully to the DC01 computer. Now after that, TCP, RPC net login, again they logged in again, and we have RPC calls. Let's go back, down, 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 down. These are all the same. Backup domain controller. Let's look at this login packet again. DC01. Yeah, okay. Let's see here, more packets. So we have here SMP. Again, the IP address 128 is doing SMP request. Let's see the details. SMP server mesh block details, SMP header, negotiate protocols, status success. Okay. SMPv2. Let's hit the header. Status success, signature ID. So it could be one of two scenarios. The owner of this IP address is doing enumeration of the shares on the network or on the computer that ends with 0.6, which happens to be the domain controller, DC01, or it could be that they're doing SMB attack, like WinRM SMB to brute force the username and password. But this is not, I don't think this is the case because it would be shown here. It could be that they are enumerating the shares or they are using secret dump to dump the username and password of the shares. Let's see more packets. This is TCP, SMPv2. Command negotiate protocol, and then we have the response success from the host. And all of the, let's see the remaining packets. All the remaining packets follow the same pattern. Request, and then the return is a success. Request, success, response. And then we have this DRS UPI1. Let's see what is that. DRS UPI1. Microsoft Directory Replication Service. Directory replication. So this is the first request. Let's filter for this. DRS UPI1, DRS UPI1, UPI, UAPI. The first request, as you can see here, this is the first request. Let's see the details. Encrypted data, DS bind. Okay. More packets. The last packet is this one, also SMB, but the response code was TCP. And then the remaining packets are OpenVPN. So you can build a hypothesis that there was an attacker who was enumerating an Active Directory machine called DC01. We saw that. They enumerated the RPC protocol and they found information about this domain controller. Then they proceeded to enumerate the shares and possibly dump the username and password or brute force the username and password of the shares. So these patterns follow the zero log on. So if you go back to TryHackMe now, you see very brief analysis of this and what are the indicators of compromise of this logon. Now there are no required questions here, just click on questions completed and you will be done. So in the next video, we will continue with the cyber defense pathway and solve more rooms. So that was for today. See you in the next video.